kidding.
And do we have cupcake in our teeth or pizza?
Scared to death.
And you can be in front of me.
In front of that young lady.
That's fine, I told you. I just have to serve it to him.
All right. Is Greg coming? Who? Kurt? Sorry.
Yes, if we get them upstairs, I'll just come. That's what the Canadians do.
All right.
I think they just went to find, or
Oh,
just the majority leader just went to find a couple more. I'm sure I'll be right back. Is Pro Tem
That's right.
here?
That's right. We can roll.
Oh, where's the Pro Tem?
Senator Clem speaks because he says he probably will. Do you want to pass your mic to him?
That's all right.
Oh, all right, that's fine. I'm good.
That's all right. That's all right. Let's just roll. Should we just roll with it? Yes. All right. I think we'll just go ahead and get started here just because there's a lot of senators that want to leave here too. I'm sure you guys do too. So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, and Montana's watching at home. So the 69th legislative session has come to a close, and it's been an extraordinary session in the most literal sense of the word, and that is far from ordinary. We've learned a lot over the last several months, for better or for worse. We do have a lot of accomplishments. I think the Senate, despite a lot of adversity, has really risen to the occasion. We've handled more bills this session than any session before following our constitutional convention. We had tax relief, Senate Bill 117 by Senator Zolikoff. Senator Zolikoff, good job. It takes newly taxable and adds that in to give, I think, long-term reform for property tax as we move forward. Senate Bill, or House Bill 337, which cuts everybody's income tax by Speaker Lear. Biggest income tax reduction in Montana's history. We had Senate Bill 177 on education for Community Choice School Commission and clarify the charter schools laws. On House Bill 28, we fund career and technical education in middle schools, and House Bill 357. Bolster suicide prevention efforts in schools, Senate Bill 369, and we strengthened background checks for people with work with children in House Bill 745. Housing more than ever is popular in Montana because we are the state that everybody has found out. Last session we did the Montana Miracle, and this session we Stacked on top of that, we passed legislation requiring counties to allow at least one accessory dwelling unit, ADU, on a single-family lot. That was Senate Bill 532. We also passed bills restricting excessive parking mandates, which will allow for more housing, in House Bill 492. We moved red tape for stairwell requirements from apartment buildings from Senate Bill 213, and restrict unnecessary building heights in Senate Bill 243. And in sum, we have encouraged more development, more housing, quickly and at lower costs here with our Montana housing crisis. Business and labor and economy. We passed legislation to support apprenticeship programs in House Bill 336, bolster ammunition manufacturing, House Bill 329, which I personally like that one. Revise the unemployment system to improve program integrity and efficiency in House Bill 210, combination of tax relief making it easier for hardworking Montanans to earn and keep their money. We have a state budget. I'm going to turn that over to our Chair of Finance and Claims. State budget, there were a few bright points, but you can also talk about the work that needs to be done with our state budget. So, Senator Glimm.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, we did a lot of good things. We also left some work that needs to be done. The legislature is mandated that we're supposed to have a balanced budget, and we didn't do that work. We left that work up to the governor on the second floor. He's going to have to veto his way to a balanced budget, and that's frankly disappointing to me. We should have done better work. We should have had a working Senate Finance and Claims Committee, which we did not, and that happened on day one. When that committee got hijacked, basically, by the 9 and the Democrats, and they added extra members to that committee. And throughout the session, it became clearly evident that when we were trying to take votes in there, we were not paying attention to our job of balancing the budget. Everything came out of that committee, and that was disappointing. And what that left us with was a status sheet that doesn't balance, and that's not what Montanans send us here to do. That's not what our Constitution says we must do. And so we leave that up to the governor, and that now is fully in his hands. He has to veto his way to a balanced budget. I encourage him to do that, and he's going to have to, because we have left that work undone as the legislature. That's disappointing to me, but that's what we have left. Thank you.
We also passed Montana values. Montanans really sent us here to represent themselves in government, including representing their values, which we passed legislation this session to keep men out of women's sports, House Bill 300, as well as to keep men out of women's locker rooms, restrooms, and sleeping quarters, and that was House Bill 121. We also passed legislation that I can't believe we did, but it defined male and female in state law. That was Senate Bill 437. We also protected free speech in school and state government, House Bill 400, and safeguard the right to pregnancy centers to promote life, and that's House Bill 388. We also did have some wins in the criminal justice and public safety, and for that I will turn it over to the Majority Leader, McGilvery.
Thank you, Mr. President. So as you all know and have tracked quite effectively, without too much cost, our Judicial Select Committee bills. I think we initially started out with 27. I don't know, you may know the count better than I do, but there may be 6 or 7 left that actually are going to the governor and for a signature. But I would have to say this, that what we do have is a great foundation for moving forward. I think that judicial reform is critical continuously. It's important for judges to have accountability. It's important for there to be transparency, and what we did this session helps start that process. Senator Hertz had a bill that will open up MSC deliberations after the final case is complete. That's going to provide more transparency to the process. I had a bill, SB 45, that now the governor has it, he'll sign, that started the Judicial Performance Evaluation Commission. So we're able to hold judges accountable to the public, have their performance available to the public. As you all know, when it comes to voting for judges, it's very difficult to know who they are, what their track record is, and how they have ruled from the bench. This bill will again provide transparency for that. Senator Emmerich, SB 41, requires substitution of district judges to be random. That was an important bill for us this session so that judges aren't handpicking their successor as that case is being moved on. It's random, and we think that's important. Senator Glim also allows citizens to share their complaint about a JSC member without being muzzled. Again, that's a transparency bill, and we think that's very important as well. We had other judicial reform bills that were not on our list that passed also, that dealt with injunction relief and so forth. So I think we had a good session on judicial reform, and we're undaunted in our efforts to continue that, and we'll do so next session. I'd also like to say regarding public safety, we did one-time only funding for 513 beds at the Montana State Prison, and I think that's very important as we try to make more room in county facilities. Excuse me. As we make more room in county facilities so that criminals are not left on the streets doing their evil deeds. And also we appropriated money for 200 women's beds. So all these bills will enhance public safety and bring transparency to the courts and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Majority Leader. We also, safeguarding the integrity of local, state, and federal elections is the utmost concern for our constituents, and I know we delivered and moved the needle on that. I don't know if Senator Cuff or Senator Manziel who wants to just speak real quick on that.
Election integrity is of utmost importance to our citizens, and they made that clear over and over again. And Senator Cuff had a great bill changing the way the process works and the counting of the ballots and the timing on late registration. As you might recall, in Gallatin County, our polls were open till 4 a.m., and we're trying to address that issue to make it a little bit more humane and realistic for our citizens. Collecting the data, I passed a bill that will require consistency throughout our 56 counties to provide consistent data to the Secretary of State and then to provide it to the legislature, because it is ultimately the legislature that is tasked with safeguarding and the purity of the process. So we had several good election integrity bills, and we definitely moved the needle on that. So we're thankful for that opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Manzella. We also had the Held versus Montana, if you guys remember the Climate Kids case, which we can go into how that judge really played the House, the Senate, and the governor all in one courtroom hearing. But we passed Senate Bill 221, which reaffirms the legislature's authority over environmental reviews under the MEPA Act. We also passed House Bill 285, which reinforces MEPA in its procedural guide instead of a regulatory tool. Also, House Bill 270, which excludes greenhouse gas emissions from reviews unless federally required. House Bill 291, which limits the authority of DEQ and local governments to adopt stricter standards than the federal requirements, and House Bill 466, which allows for categorical exclusions. So hopefully that will keep Montana businesses going in spite of an activist judge. With that, I'd like to turn it over. I know we did. Property tax was a big topic. It was a big topic for our constituents coming in. We heard it at the doors. Big problem for myself as I paid them out. Property tax is a big problem here in Montana without a sales tax. But I will turn it over to Senator Hertz, maybe to give us the good and the bad of the tax situation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, we did have some wins on taxes, obviously income taxes. We cut down the top rate again and the middle class rate and provided earned income tax credit for low income individuals. And we did that all with very little help, if any, from the minority. And so that's going to provide relief. And we also passed some other good tax bills. Senate Bill 117, we put some caps going forward on local government expenditures, and hopefully we can improve on that going forward. We did miss our opportunities, though, to give voters more control over their local property taxes, whether it was looking at levies every 10 years, increasing voter turnout for mill levies, and unfortunately those failed here. Much with the opposition of the Democrat Party pushing back on those. When it comes to property tax relief, unfortunately, all we did was just rearrange who's paying property taxes in the state of Montana. You know, we will be benefiting Montana residential full-time taxpayers. There's about 250 to 300,000 of those. But at the same time, we increased taxes on probably 500,000 other property taxpayers in the state of Montana. So when it comes to property tax and income tax and all taxes in Montana, we have to be very balanced on what we're doing. And unfortunately, Montana now has the most complicated property tax system in the United States. That will discourage new businesses from coming to Montana or expanding in Montana. And if you don't have a job, a good paying job, it really doesn't matter how high your property taxes are, because if you don't have the resources to pay those, it will make it very difficult. So hopefully when we come back here again in 2027, we can relook at this experimental property tax that we just put in and see if we can make further improvements on that. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hertz. So with that, returning home. As we return home to our family and friends and constituents, I know there's plenty of talk about regarding our time here at the Capitol in this session. And yes, there was drama, for sure. But in the meantime, we passed numerous bills, as we just talked about, and we didn't even start to touch. Did I miss anybody? Does anybody want to hop up? And no, I think. Oh, Pro Tem Bogner.
I do want to mention a couple things because Montana has been a leader around the country in tech and tech privacy. So I think it's good we mention those things, the way we move the ball forward here in Montana. We passed some groundbreaking bills like Senate Bill 163, which safeguards data collected by neurotechnology, including literal thoughts. This may sound sci-fi, but it is actually happening, and the technology is being worked on. And I want to thank Senator Zolnikov for his hard work on that and getting ahead of things in terms of this technology. Usually government is reactive, and Senator was very proactive on that. We passed Senate Bill 410, which protects genomic data from adversaries like China and Russia, and Senate Bill 364, which prevents companies from shutting off your electronic devices using kill switches. We're not just protecting Montanans amid technological advancements, but also making sure that our state is open to the benefits of cutting-edge innovations. We passed the Right to Compute Act, Senate Bill 212, which is a first-of-its-kind bill that protects the right to own and use computing tools, as well as the Financial Freedom and Innovation Act, that is Senate Bill 265, which prevents restrictions on the use of digital assets in Montana. Again, very cutting edge. We're letting Montanans prosper from the best of technological advancements while protecting residents from its adverse impacts. And before I turn it back over to the president, I do want to talk about what we did for veterans in the state. As a veteran myself, and Montana having one of the top two per capita rates of military veterans, we're committed as a legislature to supporting our veterans and active duty service members. We passed legislation this session to give troops flexibility in completing schoolwork alongside their training. That's House Bill 553. Fund veteran suicide prevention efforts. Senate Bill 95 is Senator Yakowicz right there. Great work on that. And then we provided greater financial relief to Montana military veterans and personnel and their families by revising the state income tax exemption for military pensions, retirement, and survivor benefits. That was Senate Bill 93 from Senator Fuller. Really good work on those two fronts, tech and tech privacy and veterans. We're really proud of our work during this session. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Pro Tem Bogner. So as you can see, we have a long list of bills, and that doesn't even just even start to touch the list of accomplishments that the Senate Republicans have done for the people of Montana this session. So there are many reasons for Senate Republicans to hold their heads high coming out of this session. And we will look forward to continuing our efforts through the interim and also into next session. There's always going to be plenty of work to do for the people of Montana, and we're glad that this session is over, and we look forward to getting on to the future. And I will just touch base on that. I do believe the voters sent the Republican Party here to be in control, and from day one it was not. And I don't see that sustainable. I think that in the future, the voters are going to speak their mind. I love, it's Article 2 of our Montana Constitution that states all political power is vested in and derived from the people. The people sent the Republicans here to be in control. And I don't believe the people will stand for another session where the Democrat minority leader and his caucus controls the Senate. So with that, I think our future is bright. I think the voters will stand up, and I am looking forward to a great 70th legislative session. With that, I'll turn it over to any questions from you guys, to me or anybody up here. They're all senators, so they all like to talk. So, yeah, Shaylee.
I know we're all going to be watching very closely for what the governor does with the budget. As this line item to know kind of who sees it. Are there any specific items you'll be talking to the governor's office about, wanting to see stricken from the budget? I know there's been a sentiment that it's too big, so any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I give my thoughts. I don't know if Senator Glim wants to weigh in, but there was, I mean, we passed almost everything off the floor. A lot of spending bills that went 27, 23. There wasn't much fiscal constraint. So when you say what is the list of them, that and I was just looking over that the other day of how many you got to click off just to get the budget to balance in really 2029, because that's when the income tax is fully implemented. So it's there's a lot of them. The governor has not asked me on any of that. I don't expect him to. But there's a lot of right-siding that's going to need to happen. Yeah, Eric. What is what?
Oh, sorry, I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
No.
So a little bit of dynamic with the line. Do you see a world in which you were going to be able to do a legislation team here where you were able to keep the Republican caucus together the way they have you up here right now in with what people standing against?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm probably not going to look back on that. Like I just told a lot of these my senators here, I've made all the right choices for sure, and all in that. But going forward, I do believe that everybody should have a seat at the table. And when you leave 27 senators, Republican senators, away from the table, that's not right. That's not what the voters sent. That's not what the people want. That's not constitutional according to all the vested power derived from the people. So moving forward from here, I do believe everybody should have a seat at the table, and I'm gonna fight so that the majority of the Republican caucus is not left outside. Yeah, Jonathan. Sure, yeah, there was talk of that, of how that might be a possibility. Looking through the vote count, I didn't see a path forward. I mean, obviously, there hasn't been a path forward to that throughout this session, so it was talked about, but there was no legitimate path forward. Yeah, it'd have to be some amendment into some judiciary bill. So. Yeah, Carly.
Any thoughts on the last bill, I guess the luxury vehicle registration fee bill, and kind of why that was such a focus of
Sure, that was a close one, right? 25. Yeah, I mean, that one, we've seen that other sessions pass too. And really, I mean, the focus on that is at the end. It was the last piece on the chessboard. And so all the focus was on that. It's been voted down in sessions past and voted down this session. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back, but as a lot of conservative Republicans, we don't want to raise fees, especially when we have such a surplus. I mean, we came in with, what, $522 million, I believe, in estimated surplus revenue coming in, and we're going to talk about raising fees. That narrative doesn't even sit well with the Republican principles. So, any other questions? Jonathan? Yeah. I don't believe it's a zero sum. And this is where, from the beginning, it's if you're going to leave people out of a seat at the table, I think that's when, what else do we have to fight for? And that's really where I stand. I think a lot of my a lot of my senators here stand of like, if you're just going to have a conversation with 27 of you and run us over like that, then we've got nothing left but to fight for a seat at the table. And I believe that's fair. I believe that's what the people of Montana want, whether they're sending a Democrat senator from their district, a conservative Republican, a moderate Republican, that all those senators should have a seat at the table. And that did not happen this session. It was straight up 27. And to me, that is not the right way to do state government. Yeah. Sure.
There's been a lot of talk about a special session being likely. I guess I'm curious, two things. One, are you betting that it's going to happen? And if so, maybe when? And two, kind of given the climate that we are in as we leave the building, how would you, I guess, rate or evaluate the ability of the Senate to work together should a special session arise?
That's a great question on special session. I think a lot of that has to do with the feds. I know we got an update from the fiscal division on possibilities of whether it's just even exempting Social Security at the federal level. We mirror that on the state level. So that would really change our balance sheet. Tips, I mean, there's a lot of things. Medicaid, what does that do with reimbursements? There's a lot of things the feds could do that would really push us into a special session, and I think the probability of that is more than not. Excuse me.
And working together?
Mathematically, I think we would have to then, and that would come in. Sorry, you get me all choked up when we start talking budgets here. Yeah, I think mathematically, if the feds are going to do something like change the FMAP to Medicaid, we're going to have to come in and balance that budget. I mean, you're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, and that's part of, you can say, even the fracture of our caucus. Ooh, thank you. Our caucus this session, a lot of it, we came in with $500 million surplus. It was a spending spree. We're naturally more small, efficient government people here, and our vote wasn't so much needed this go around. You come in with a federal change that all of a sudden says we need to cut $300 million from your budget. There's a lot of votes up here that are going to be very important. Any other final questions before we call it a session? Hey, thank you guys. Appreciate the session. It was long for you guys too, so I know it. Thank you. Have a great summer.